Hi everyone, my name is Vanessa Peterson, and when I was at K-State, I studied abroad in Thailand for a semester, and then I graduated May of 2019, so last year, and I joined the Peace Corps, and I was in North Macedonia, so Eastern Europe. So kind of to go over my study abroad experience. So what initially inspired me to study abroad, the summer after my freshman year of college, I spent interning at a nonprofit in Tianjin, China. And I came back after that summer and I knew that I wanted to go abroad again. I just wasn't sure how. And so I went to the study abroad office and we kind of started looking over options, and I learned about the different types of programs and ultimately decided I wanted to do an exchange program. And when I saw that there was a program in Thailand, I knew that was where I wanted to go. And so I ended up going to Mahidol University in Bangkok, or kind of right outside of Bangkok, my second semester of my sophomore year. So I really just came back and immediately kind of got the ball rolling on that. I think one of the biggest things for me and my study abroad experience was simply just experiencing a new culture and all that that had to offer. And it really kind of started to change my worldview, and I realized how much more that there was out there for me to experience. You learn a lot living in a different country, and I knew that was something I just wanted to keep doing. And so my study abroad experience kind of led me into wanting to join the Peace Corps, at least looking more into it, because it was the same thing as like when I came back from China, when I came back from Thailand, I knew I wanted to go abroad again. I think for me, when I came back, I realized that the semester I spent there, I learned more than I ever could have learned at any class in K-State. You know, you're learning things that you can't learn in a traditional setting. And part of that is immersing yourself in a new culture. So I think that was definitely something that also kind of helped me with my Peace Corps experience, because it's not all, you know, butterflies and roses. There's definitely challenges living in another country. And so kind of learning different tools to kind of tackle those challenges definitely helped me when I eventually got into the Peace Corps in Macedonia. Some other things that I did at K-State, I went to a lot of events through the International Student Center. I was a marketing major. Any classes I saw that had to do with international business or any culture classes I could take, I took. I also did some conversational classes, language classes, that weren't through the university, but kind of set up through K-State. So definitely look into those. There's some like intro level, really cool languages that you can kind of start to learn through those classes. And then also just kind of going to these different events, I met a lot of people and started to learn about more opportunities to go abroad. So, you know, I started meeting people that had done the Peace Corps, had done other experiences like that. And so that kind of also led me into what I ended up doing was the Peace Corps. So then getting to Macedonia, a little bit about my Peace Corps experience. I was in the community and economic development sector. Macedonia had their own kind of subsector within that, which was the special needs sector. So a lot of special needs volunteers working in schools or daily centers, but since I had a marketing and business background, I was working with a couple different NGOs, non-governmental organizations, doing a lot of development work, so grant writing, planning events within the community, things like that. And I was located in Skopje, so the capital, which was a really big city and definitely a very different Peace Corps experience than what you think of like the traditional Peace Corps experience. You know, I was living in Europe in a big city. But it was the perfect experience for me and just what I needed. A little bit about the culture of Macedonia. It's so hard to kind of sum up a culture, but it's a very warm and generous culture, kind of similar to Thailand, actually. The generosity will always amaze me. Another cool thing that I really enjoyed learning about was just the different religious diversity present in Macedonia. So a lot of Christian Orthodox, that was mainly like the ethnic Macedonians, but there's also a very big Albanian and Turkish community. And most of the ethnic Albanians, ethnic Turkish people in Macedonia were Muslim. So that was really cool learning about a religion that I had never learned much about or experienced. My first host family I lived with was Muslim. So that was really cool just to learn about that different religion. And then the food is amazing. If you're ever in the Balkans, you're in for a treat because the food is really incredible. It's a very family-oriented type of culture. They put a lot of focus and a lot of time invested in family relationships, which is kind of similar to the US, but also very different. It's kind of hard to explain. It's just something you have to experience again. And I guess going over some of my challenges that I faced in the Peace Corps, one of my biggest challenges was learning 2 different languages. So I was in the dual language program. So I was learning Macedonian and Albanian, which are 2 very, very different languages. And at first I was very apprehensive and nervous about that. You could ask anyone that knew me. I didn't think I would be able to learn 2 languages and be able to hold a conversation in both of them. But by the end, I was only there for 6 months because we were evacuated due to COVID. But by the end of those 6 months, I could sit with someone and have a conversation, which kind of leads me into what I'm most proud of, because it was something that I didn't know if I was capable of, and that was really cool. But I think it really goes to show that when you're, forced to learn another language, when you're living with people that don't speak English or don't speak your first language, you start to pick up the language so quickly, which was something that was really cool. If I could leave you guys with any advice, I would just say go for it. Both of these experiences, my internship, studying abroad in China, I spent a summer in Europe, and then ended up in the Peace Corps, definitely all put me outside of my comfort zone. But the more that you force yourself outside of your comfort zone, the bigger it gets, and eventually the bigger your worldview gets. You learn things that you could never learn if you didn't, experience a new way of living. And ultimately, all of these experiences really changed the trajectory of my life. Had I not done my internship in China, I probably wouldn't have studied abroad. And had I not studied abroad, I might not have done the Peace Corps. And so, where I'm at right now, all of these experiences have kind of led me here. So yeah, I would say if you want to do it, find a way to do it. It's definitely possible, whether it's studying abroad or just, taking a 2-week trip in the summer to another country. Just find a way to make it happen. There's a lot of great resources that you can use at K-State, and they really make it possible for almost any student to study abroad. So yeah, I would just say go for it.